Hello parents of Year 5 and 6 children. It's an exciting time of year, not just because we come back as a whole school, but because this point is in the year where Year 5 and 6 parents have to think about where their children are going to go next. A bit weird since we just come back. However, because of the way the government guidelines are, I can't unfortunately invite you in, as I would have liked to have done, to guide you through this process. It's a really important time to be able to think with your child what their next steps are and what the right school is. So
We've come up with a plan.
we're making this video to give you an idea of what the process is. We're going to send you a pack with all sorts of information about all the local boroughs, because we're all on the borders of different boroughs here. And also we're going to go through it with the children. If after the video and talking it through with your children you still have questions, you are very welcome to give me a ring here at school. So let's go through some of the questions that people might ask that will give you an idea about the process.
I'm representing all of you. I'm the parent. This is the expert. Here we go. Okay. How do I know what is the right school for my child?
Okay, every school is different and every child is different. And the only way you really know is by going for a visit. You can look online, you can see what the results look like, you can see their website and the things they offer. One of the best ways is to see the school. And every child has a different specialism or a different need. And so one parent might say to you, well, this school's a really good school, but it may only be good for their child. It doesn't mean it's good for yours. So I really urge you to go and visit as many schools as you can. In the pack, there are visit dates. And I know that I go on about attendance a lot. However, on this occasion, I really want you to go with your child if possible, if they're allowing you to visit. If they're not allowing visits, go online and see if they've got virtual tours, because the more you can find out about the school, the better. So it all depends on, some schools have got a reputation of being very strict, some schools have got real strength in the arts, some schools have got sports facilities that really attract children, some schools are smaller, some are bigger, and it all is about your child.
Okay, next question is, are there different types of schools?
There are state-maintained schools like we are, a normal state-maintained school. There are private schools, which means you have to pay. And then there are faith schools where you have to have a letter from a person in your own faith that says that you are a regular going to the mosque or the church or whatever it is to prove your faith. Some of the faith schools take people from different faiths, so as long as you have a letter from your own faith leader, that can count towards it. And then there are selective schools. You don't pay for them, but there are tests involved, and those are pass-fail tests where there are lots and lots of people applying and you have to be very high up the list to get in. And usually you have to practice for those. If you want your child to go to one of those schools and you visited it and you still feel that's the right place for your child, you're very welcome to have a conversation with me and look at how they're doing in school so that you know whether it is appropriate for your child.
Okay, so my next question is, how do I know if I can get my child into a specific school?
So there are different ways of knowing. When you apply, it's for one form, 6 choices. It doesn't matter which borough it is. This school here is in Islington, but literally across the road is Hackney. So it's not about your borough, it's called Pan London, the form, and so it will be from wherever you are. But each school, interestingly, has different admissions criteria. So academies will ask you to do a test, but it's not like a selective school test, it's called a banding test. And it puts all the children into different bands, like the top ability, the middle ability, the bottom ability, people who need support, and they want to have a spread. How much of a spread depends on the school itself. So sometimes it's about a test, sometimes it's about whether you've got an education healthcare plan. Sometimes you go up to the top of the list of criteria if you're a looked after child in a local authority.
Siblings?
And then siblings is next. And then after that is distance. And the thing about distance, you have to read. In the booklet, it will tell you the admissions criteria for each school. You have to read because sometimes if it says distance, it's talking about the safest walking distance. And if a park is in between, they may call that not the safest walking. The safest walking might be around the park. So you need to look carefully. But you can put in your postcode and the postcode of the school, and that will tell you your distance, and you can look to see if it's realistic.
That's a good tip. Okay. So you have talked about tests, and some schools do require you to do a test.
Yes.
Different types of tests.
So all academies do a banding test. If you're applying to a Hackney school, they tend to do the banding test in one school on a particular date. And if they ask you to go for a test, you must go to the test. Because if you don't, they haven't got any idea about your ability to put you into a band to decide whether they've got enough space for you or not.
So do I need any proof of any kind when I am applying?
So when you get to the application point, if you are going to an Islington school and you are in my school here, we will have your address details on our system. And so if the two things tie up, then there's no need for proof. But if you are in Hackney, you may well be asked to provide proofs to the Hackney Local Authority at their Learning Trust place or in Haringey. You must make sure that the address you have on our system is your most up-to-date address, because that's the address you're applying for. So make sure your address now and your contact details are completely updated, so that what they're putting on the system is the same as what you're putting on the form.
And they can do that by contacting the office?
Just ring the office directly and they'll update the system for you.
Okay, so how do I actually apply?
So, it's all online, and you have to do it online. Now, it's likely that you will have applied for your child in reception online at this point too. And if you did, you had a USO, like an email address, and a USO
Special number.
And you have to put that in. Don't worry if you completely lost it. Some people have. We can recover it for you, and we can help you to do that.
Okay.
You do need an email address, and then it's quite a straightforward process.
Yeah.
If you didn't do your child in reception online, you can just do a new registration. I can help people, and we can make appointments to help you on one-to-one. We can socially distance on a one-to-one, and we can find a space to help you to do that. But you choose your schools in order of preference. That is the most important thing, that you have to decide what order you want them in. Because if you put at the very top your wish list, the school you loved the most, when you went around looking and you saw a school and you think, your child thought it and you felt it, that's the one you want the most. Even if you think it's not 100% realistic, you may think you might not get in there, still put it at the top. And then every other school has got to be in the order that you would like them.
Should I fill in all 6?
You don't have to fill in all 6. If you have a child who's already in a secondary school and their sibling is going to follow them, as long as you put the application form in on time, you're going to definitely get it. Maybe put 2, but you're very, very likely to get it anyway. But you can put all 6. And my other tip is that whatever order you put them, even if the top 3 are a wish list, you must make sure that the bottom 2 are what I call a safety net. Something that you would be happy to accept if they gave it to you. Because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to be given the school that has places, which probably means it's either not popular or it hasn't yet got a reputation. So you want to choose a school that you actually want and not put the same school 5 times, because it's not going to get it there.
That's not going to work. Okay, is there a deadline?
There is a deadline. There are lots of deadlines. The reason we give the Year 5s this talk or this video is because you get a year now to think about it. So this year's Year 6, they've heard about it all last year, and hopefully they all went to visit schools and they've got a really good idea now about where they want to go. So Year 5, you've got a year to think about it in. This time next year, if you're a Year 5, you'll be making a decision by the end of October. The thing about the end of October is that's half term. So really, I would like you to have made your decision and filled your forms in a week before the half term. Because I can help you before half term, but I can't help you after. And if you don't put it in on time, you might be considered a late application, and then you may not get the school you want.
Okay.
In the pack that you've got, there will be all the key dates and deadlines. So that will remind you, and it's in the pack from our details and from the boroughs in the Islington pack.
Okay, what happens next and when do I find out?
So, in March, it's called National Offers Day. It's around March 1st, 2nd, 3rd, whichever is the Monday of that month. So you'll get a text, because when you fill in the form online, it asks you, do you want to go onto the texting, and you put your texting number in, and it sends you a little code to your phone. And that means they will text you the result, which is much quicker and easier than you having to go in to find your username and password. So they'll text you the result of what you've been given. If you've got your first choice, that's great. There are no people that it's going to. It's going to a computer. So if you put your first choice and it says no, because you haven't got the right criteria, it will go to your second and so forth. So it will tell you what school you've got, and then you can make some choices.
Okay, so my last question is, what if I'm not happy with the school that I've been given?
Okay, well, don't be worried straight away.
Don't panic.
Don't panic at any point, because I am here to help at anything you need. If you don't get the school you want straight away, I can ring up and find out for you where you are on the list. You might be quite high up on the list, in which case, as a few things do change, people accept their schools, some move out of London, some go to private, some get selective schools. It shifts a bit. So if you're quite high up the list, you still might get the place in the school you want, and you can stay on that waiting list. If you don't get the school you want, you may have to accept, you definitely have to accept it. You take the school and you send off the acceptance, they say you will accept it, because you can still stay on the waiting list, even if you've accepted the one you've got.
Okay.
And if you go there, you know, it may be offered it later in the first year or second year of secondary. You can make a choice then.
If you want to
If
move,
you want
you
it,
don't.
yeah, you may be happy, but you may choose to move at that
Okay.
point. There is also an appeal process, and if you do need to get to that point, it is about new evidence, but we can help you to understand how to go through that process. And there are other organisations that can help with that as well. But basically, don't panic, because we are here, and it is a really important point in your children's lives. Going to secondary, they're going to be there for year 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and maybe more if they choose the sixth form. So read the packs carefully. If you've got any questions that we haven't asked, please ring me, and I'll be really happy to make an appointment and talk through with you what you and your child are thinking.
Give a phone call, email the office, whatever you wish. Okay? I
Okay,
think we've done good.
I hope it was helpful. Good luck with your choices.
Bye-bye.